Good morning. I'd like to read to you today a book called Ferdinand. You can see this book is quite old. It's in tatters, but that shows that it's been well read and well loved. This is a story about a little bull. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other bulls that he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together, but not Ferdinand. All by himself and very happy. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. Oh. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture underneath a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in the shade of the tree all day long and smell the flowers. There you see the other bulls playing. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid that he would be lonesome all by himself. She has a cowbell on. "Why don't you run and play with the other bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would just shake his head and say, "I like it better here, where I can sit quietly and smell the flowers." He doesn't look unhappy. That cowbell tells the farmer where the cows are in the pasture. The mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she would just let him sit and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew into a great big bull. Look at him. Oh my goodness. So strong. And here's a big vulture watching him from the measuring tree. My, is he handsome. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. That's the capital of Spain. Look at that. There's a poster, and all the bulls are gathering around to read about when the next bullfight will be. But what do you think? Not Ferdinand. No. He still just liked to sit quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. He had a very good life. One day 5 men came from the city to pick the biggest, the roughest, and the toughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. Look at these faces. My goodness, all these mustaches. You ever seen a mustache like that before? Oh my goodness, and look at that one. He must use wax to smooth it out in the morning, don't you think? All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting and leaping and jumping into the air so that the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce, and they would pick them. Look at them. Ferdinand knew that they would not pick him, and he just did not care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down, smelling the flowers along the way. And, whoops, he didn't look where he was sitting. And instead of sitting on the nice, cool grass, he sat right on top of a bumblebee. Oh my goodness, has any of you ever been stung before? It's a surprise for you, and it's a surprise for the bee too, and you can imagine what happened next. Oh, if you were a bumblebee and a great big cow sat on you, great big bull, what would you do? Well, that's right, you would sting him, and that is just what that bee did to Ferdinand. Look at that. His eyes are bulging out of his head, and he looks very surprised. Wow, did it hurt? Oh my goodness. I'm sure you've cried when it's happened to you. I know I did when I was little. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort, and he ran around puffing and snorting and butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. That's the first time he'd ever been stung by a bumblebee. And look, oh, flowers are flying in the air. Well, the 5 men saw Ferdinand, and they shouted with joy. Here was the largest and the fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. Oh, poor Ferdinand. He looks half crazy, doesn't he? Oh, his bum must hurt. So they took him. They took him away in a bull cart to Madrid. He doesn't look happy now. He looks rather forlorn. I wonder what's going to happen. Wow, what a day it was. Flags were flying in the streets. Bands were playing. Everyone was turning out because bullfights were a really big deal. It was a very exciting time. All of the lovely ladies had lots of flowers in their hair. Do you think Ferdinand liked that? Yeah, I think he did too. Let's see what happens. It could be a surprise. They had a parade, and they paraded right into the bull ring. Look how fancy that horse looks, and that man blowing that big trumpet. First came the bandoleros with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick the bull and make him mad. Next came the picaderos, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick into the bull to make him even madder. Yeah, bullfights are kind of mean, aren't they? Poking animals with sticks. Not a very nice thing to do, is it? But it's part of that Spanish culture. Then came the matador, the proudest of all, and he thought he was terribly handsome, and he bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and he was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Yeah. And that's pretty scary too, frankly, for everybody. And then came the bull, and you know who that was, right? Ferdinand. Look at him. You can hardly see him. He's terribly shy, really, isn't he? He's kind of out of his element, right? He'd rather be in the pasture, in the meadow, sitting, smelling the flowers. Well, they called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picaderos were terrified of him, and the matador, he was scared stiff. Oh my goodness, look at that face. Everyone was fearful of Ferdinand. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. Look at all the people, all those people. My goodness, it's packed. It's kind of like a baseball game, isn't it? Full crowd. Oh, but not Ferdinand. No, when he got to the middle of the ring, he saw all the flowers in the lady's hair. Oh, he just sat down. And he smelled. Oh, he smelled. Look at that. Look at that bull. Does he look scary? He doesn't. He's in heaven. He loves the smell of flowers, and no matter what, he wouldn't fight, and he wouldn't be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. The bandoleros were mad. The picadoros were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and his sword. Look, there he is. So, you know what? They had to take Ferdinand home. They did. They put him back in the cart, led by a team of horses. They rode him out of the city, right back to his beautiful pasture. And for all I know, Ferdinand is still sitting there under his favorite tree, smelling the quiet flowers, just being quiet. And he is very happy. The end. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Have a lovely day, and I hope that you too have a favorite book that when you're a grown-up, you can remember having read time after time again. Be well. See you soon.